Hey guys, welcome back to the Aspie world. What's going on in my hair? So today I'm literally doing a video that is kind of sponsored by Netflix. They asked me to review the show called Atypical, which features a guy with an Autism Spectrum disorder, and I had to review the whole thing. It's out on August the 11th on Netflix, and it's called Atypical. So basically Netflix gave me early access to the entire season 1, and I watched the whole thing, and I wanted to give my honest review of that. And so I think the best way I'm going to do this is to have I'll list all the bad things and I'll list all the good things, so that it's you get a broad overview, and then I'll just tell you guys what I thought of it and how it went down. Okay, cool. So the bad things about it, and the biggest thing that kind of struck me straight off the bat was that Atypical's Twitter account actually follow Autism Speaks. Now, Autism Speaks is kind of like a bad word in the autism community, because Autism Speaks they have a lot of stigma around them. There's a lot of they do a lot of shady things, and they're not really respected in the autism community. So maybe just check that out anyway. But that was one of the things that kind of alarmed me, and I know that Autism Speaks helped consult them on this. Now, Autism Speaks is primarily an American company. Over here in the UK, we have a company called the National Autistic Society. So the National Autistic Society are like the gold standard for everything autism related or ASD related, but in America they don't have access to the National Autistic Society, so I guess it's not really Atypical's fault that they went to the Autism Speaks for help and consultation on this. But anyway, another bad thing is that none of the actors have autism, and I know it may be quite stressful, so I think maybe a nice touch would have been to have somebody with autism playing a character at least in it, somebody else on the spectrum or whatever. Another thing is that Sam, the character, the main guy who has ASD, which I think it's Aspergers Syndrome, which he has, they overdo it a bit. Some of the symptoms are too much, like he has too many of the symptoms together, and I know that could be varied, and we're dealing with a huge spectrum here, from like severe to more able, and to low functioning, high functioning, so it's difficult to kind of get a representative of the condition in a nutshell. But so I think sometimes Sam actually has too much of the of all of the symptoms, if you like. That's another thing. And another bad thing about it is that it's kind of too, sometimes it's too much. They're trying to make everything about autism, so it's kind of like, oh well, they're trying to educate too much within it. So people with autism may have this, and they say people with it. So rather than just showing it, they kind of explain it within the TV show, and I found that kind of weird. Hey guys, I recorded the review yesterday, but there was something I really wanted to say and I forgot to say it. And that's in one scene, Elsa Gardner, who is the mother of Sam Gardner, the child, or the young man with autism, she says in one scene, when they're talking about the silent disco, she says, oh, it's okay for you guys who've got fit and healthy kids. And to me, that kind of tried to say that people with autism are unhealthy, which is kind of not the case, because it's not a health issue, it's a neurological disorder. So I just thought I would put that in there as something that kind of didn't sit well with me, so that was one of the things that kind of really stood out to me. I was like, I don't like the way they say that. But anyway, back to the review. So anyway, moving on to the good things, because I got to tell you, I will give you a rating for this at the end of it as well, like out of 10, how much I give it. The cool thing about it is that the whole show is not just about autism or ASD. It's really, really cool. I would say that's only about 25% of the show. So it's 25% about ASD, 25% family life, 25% of the mum, and 25% of the dad. So it's kind of like, it shows all different relationships within that family and how it all works. Okay, I know that the glue binding it together is ASD and how all the people kind of do stuff that's related to it, but it's very, very good because it gives a nice overview of like a family, and you don't really see that often. Another good point is that it's actually a show about somebody with autism, and it's kind of trying to represent them quite fairly, and to be honest with you, that's a really good thing, because not a lot of people are, well, there's no shows representing autism. You may have like Abed from Community, Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, but they are, it's not about them. That's just a side story, so it's not, the focus is never on that, and it's nice to see that it's represented in a typical fashion. It's like normal. I don't like using the word normal, but it's interesting that they've done that, and we've been crying out for ages for that to happen. Another good point is that Sam, the guy who plays Sam, is super funny, and he's really good. It's highly relatable. I watched it and I was like, damn, I totally get that, I totally get this, and I laughed to myself a little bit, and then my girlfriend was like, dude, you do those things, and like it's quite funny because some of the symptoms in there you can relate to, and it's weird having because like when you watch TV normally it's difficult. So people on the spectrum like myself, if I watch TV, you're watching people who are like neurotypical as the default, and then you're trying to squeeze into the little box and you can't really get all the jokes. It's hard to get everything. But when you watch a TV show dedicated you know, to a guy with ASD, and they're trying to accommodate all that, it's fun because you get it, you know why he does that stuff in his room, you know, it's weird, it's like feeling a bit more kind of like feeling a bit more normal, and I don't like using that word. Another thing is that they actually show like a therapist, and he goes to see a therapist, and then they show other things. So they show insight into things. So like in it, they go to a disco, like our school disco or school like dance, and they make it like a silent one, so everyone can wear headphones, so Sam can enjoy it without actually getting, you know, too overwhelmed by the lights and the sound, which is so cool because it's educating people not to be so arrogant when it comes to autistic people, because in the show, some people are kind of dead against it, like, no, we want like a normal dance for our kids, why should we do it just because you're kids? And it's good, it raises a lot of questions, and it actually shows how some people in society actually treat people on the spectrum and family members of people on the spectrum, and it's very good. So if anything, at the very least, this show is going to highlight some of the issues that we have to people who may never have even understood that before, because it's like a teen kind of family comedy, well, not obviously comedy, light-hearted drama, that's the best way of putting it, but it kind of covers all those cool things. So out of 10, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And the reason it doesn't get the full, 10 out of 10 is because of the reasons I told you. But it's a good solid 8 out of 10. And I say that because Netflix are trying. They're trying. I have never seen anybody else try this before. It's super cool that they've done it. They said, right, let's have an ASD TV show that people with ASD can watch and enjoy, and people who are neurotypical can watch, learn, and enjoy. And I think that deserves some kudos. So Netflix, I'm working with them, but they're not paying me, guys, so please bear that in mind. I'm working with Netflix on this, but they are not paying me. So this is me and my honest opinion on it. That is what I give it. I'd like to know what you guys think about it when it's out on August the 11th. Watch the whole thing and then come back to this video and leave me some comments, or tweet me. My Twitter's all down below at the end of the video, and that'll be super cool. If you'd like to learn more about autism, Asperger's, and ASD in general, please hit that subscribe button above here. If you want to see my last video, it's over here, and YouTube have picked out a video you may like over here. See you next time, guys. Peace!